Howdy all, Dean Stilley here from the official home of unofficial Grateful Dead and music news, reporting on the band being in New Mexico there. They're in Albuquerque, and a little shout out for a friend of mine's book. This is Barton Hall 5877 by my buddy Larry. He photoed the whole thing. He was in college at the time, and great. I'm sure everyone's heard of the show. If you're new to the music and you haven't repetitively listened to Barton Hall 5877, you need to get on that immediately. This is a great photo book that'll accompany that music. It's it's not like one of Jay Blakesberg's books, everything's perfect and stuff like that. Back in the day, you just took a bunch of rolls of film and you had to have them sent out to be developed. You never know what you had until they came back. And this book's a great representation of getting your stuff developed and then seeing what comes back. The pictures aren't all perfect, a lot of them are, but it's just a great companion to that show. Highly recommend it. Barton Hall 5877. You can find that, I'm sure, online, Amazon or whatever, but that's a good one. Amy, thank you for the shirt. Came in the mail yesterday. Love you forever. It's much appreciated. Still wearing the crown for me is Eugene, no doubt about it. Anyway, we're in Albuquerque, and we got a lot of problems to get things started. We got wind problems, we got sandstorms, we got all kinds of shit going on. We can't put up the screens, we can't build a phone booth there on the stage, no plexiglass, too much wind. The sound check doesn't start till late. They got people backed up trying to get into the show for the first set. There was some troubles early in this one, and I had initially thought that it would be a stinker. I thought that New Mexico had the potential of being a real stinker just where it was seated in the whole thing. You know that Boulder this weekend's gonna be outstanding. Those shows are gonna be great. And so I really thought that this one didn't have a great place in the pecking order, and thought it was going to be a stinker. I might have been half right on it. The band takes the stage, and the first thing everybody notices is the old switcheroo. We got O'Teal where Clementi usually is, and Clementi's over there in O'Teal's spot. And I've heard a lot of people talk about a lot of different things. I personally, when I first saw it, as a kid in school, I had a tendency to be a disruptive student. And I'd start my day in the back of the classroom, and that's where I'd take my seat, and usually sometime during the day the teacher would make me come and sit right next to them, hoping my behavior would improve a little bit. And initially I thought maybe that's what happened with O'Teal. Maybe he's having too much fun over there, being too silly. We'll have him sit by the teacher for a little bit and see if he can behave a little better. And then Clementi and John, they've been making musical love to each other all tour, and we all know it can be very awkward if you happen to have the seat in between two people that want to fuck each other. That can be a very awkward seat to have. Two people engaged in conversation and you're stuck in the middle and don't have much of a part of it. That's kind of where Weir's been sitting the whole tour, so maybe just remove him from it. Hey y'all, you want to switch seats? And that just makes everything a little better. I've heard a lot of stuff about it was weather, it was this. It was Weir's idea to change the dynamic, Bob's idea, and I thought it was a good idea, really. It was, but from the problems, we got the speakers, they're not hanging in the air, they're down low on the stage. We can't put the screens up. A lot of things are changing, and I don't know if that had an impact on it, but the first set anyway, we get things started and you get half step to start things off, and I guess half step was okay. You get Crazy Fingers next, and I'm not crazy about Crazy Fingers. Really, I think he's got plenty of great tunes of his own. To me, Crazy Fingers is like a guy trying to tell someone else's story. It never has the same amount of power or impact as when the guy's telling the story himself. It comes across to me that way, like somebody's trying to tell someone else's story. It wasn't comfortable. Maybe you thought differently, and if you did, that's just fine. You get Dire Wolf comes up next. Then we get Big River. Big River I thought was Signs of Life. That one found some cool places and seemed like the power was picking up, and maybe we'd get a little bit of momentum behind us, but that was quickly diffused with They Love Each Other. We slowed things down a little bit. And then for me, you get the big musical ether rag over your face. You get West LA Fade Away, sounded like it was being played by a bunch of corpses. This just seemed like a family gathered around people waiting to die. Anyway, it didn't offer me much anything at all. You get The Music Never Stopped next, so now the family gathered around the dead person, sees the machines start to light up, and maybe we got some signs of life. Perhaps there's a heartbeat. Particularly the second verse, really things started kicking up a little bit, got a little bit of power behind it. And, that was more prosperity than they can stand. Sleepy Hamsters you get next. Totally musical Brown Acid. That one just killed any vibe that was able to develop during The Music Never Stopped. This just seemed like a set that was hell-bent on making sure it wasn't very good. And if that was the aim, they hit the mark. Easy Answers, at least you got a chance to make it to the bathroom before the line started if you were smart. I'm thinking, I don't know if this is everyone trying to adapt to the chemistry, the new stage thing, if it's throwing people off a little bit. I don't know, maybe so, maybe not. It seemed like these shows could be stinkers. This one in Albuquerque, I'm thinking my premonition was correct, but they come out for the second set and prove me totally wrong. The second set gets started. The wind has settled down. We're able to lift the speakers up off the stage a little bit, and we get things started with Here Comes Sunshine. Here Comes Sunshine to me had some really bright spots, a great way to get things kicked off. Little things sometimes that bother me a little bit. I don't know why after the opening verse, Mayer's got to say, "Get out the pans." It doesn't belong there. It's a little thing, but a splinter in your foot's a little thing too. Just walk around on that for a while. Anyway, who the fuck cares? The jams were just fine. From there you get Uncle John's. Uncle John's was good, and now we're really starting to see some serious interaction between John and Caminti, and the dynamics are really starting to take shape of this kind of new stage formation, and I think everyone's kind of vibing a little bit better. It seemed like things were picking up tremendously. You get We're on Looks Like Rain out of the Uncle John's, and this is once again Looks Like Rain finding its home, kind of like the deal found its home at the end of the set. Looks Like Rain finds its home right there in the pre-drum segment early in the second set, and Weir was great on it. This is the example of someone telling their own story. I mean, this is his tune. He's singing it hard and beautiful. I thought Looks Like Rain was great, and it was great being in that spot. I don't mind it in the ballad spot at all. I actually think that's a decent place for it. But this was, once again, it was home. And then you get Help Slip Frank, and for me, Help Slip Frank, you go to New Mexico. New Mexico's got some really unique and interesting architecture. The colors and the architecture there are completely unique. It's a very unique part of the country. Listen, they were rocking earth tones before earth tones were cool, and to me, the Help Slip Frank took on the environment. Is the Slipknot jam it just had a very unique architecture to it. The rhythm section was kind of pulled back a little bit, and John and Bob were kind of more forward in it. Very, very unique architecture. At some point during that Slipknot, I'm looking at Mayer, and it seems like Eddie Van Halen and Stanley Jordan had a love child, and his name was John Mayer, and he's doing all kinds of things. I mean, I guess the one thing that's always been missing from Slipknot is hammer-ons. So, but I thought he did an outstanding job decorating the Slipknot. It really, really was a good time. Franklin's is always going to have everybody as happy as they can be, and it didn't fail to make everybody happy last night. That one was just fun all the way through. When they put it up against drums, it seems like the end of it maybe gets a little abbreviated, but I thought that was a really fun ride through the Help Slip Frank. You get Drums in Space next. Coming out of space, you get The Wheel. The Wheel was a little more straightforward, not so much gimmick at the end. I appreciated that. Get away from that a little bit. We're on the Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, one of his very best in that ballad slot position, and I thought he was outstanding on that. The Good Lovin' probably had more pep and more power than their prior Good Lovin's, and I appreciated it. I really thought the band gelled in the second set. I thought they were having a ball together. I thought their sound came together. I think they started getting comfortable with the old switcheroo. I don't know if they'll keep it, but it certainly was a worthy experiment, and I think in the future it could benefit them to keep that switcheroo. We got Johnny Be Good for your encore, and that's just fine. That one gives everybody a little extra energy to walk to their car afterwards. I thought the second set offered way more than the first. Thought the first set was a clunker. Thought the second set was some really inspired music. I think this weekend in Boulder, they're going to kill it. It's going to be a legendary weekend in Boulder. They're going to want to just kill it in Boulder because they're going to announce Mexico. They're going to have some high-priced packages to sell in the weeks to come, so they're going to want to make sure that everyone's final memories of what it's like to go see Dead & Company are incredibly strong. And so I think Boulder's going to be a legendary weekend. Those that are headed there are in for quite a treat. And we'll be reporting from there all weekend, so stay tuned. Love you long time. Catch you after Boulder.